On Friday, May 11, Subaru of America announced its first plug-in hybrid vehicle will be the Crosstrek, available with partial electric power as of the 2019 model year, which will arrive on the market by the end of 2018. The Crosstrek Hybrid will thus beat the rumored Subaru Evoltus to dealerships, despite the supposed death of the Crosstrek Hybrid project in 2016. Subaru says the Crosstrek Hybrid will retain the capabilities offered by the all-wheel drive systems integral to the brand's identity while raising fuel efficiency with bursts of electric power. Normal driving will mix gas and electric power as directed by engine programming, while electric-only power can be used for short trips. A Toyota hybrid system, borrowed as part of the two companies' technical partnership, will provide the electric propulsion through a transmission unique to the Crosstrek Hybrid. The new drivetrain will be accommodated by Subaru's future-proofing global platform, which is shared with the base Crosstrek, but designed with hybrid or all-electric power in mind. Subaru has not yet released photos of the Crosstrek Hybrid, but it promises the vehicle will boast styling that differs from the standard gas-only model. A rollout to Subaru dealerships by the end of the year is planned, but photos will presumably be released months in advance, to whip up interest. No MSRP was given as part of Subaru's announcement, but it is expected to be higher than the 2018 Crosstrek's entry price of $21,795. The Drive reached out to Subaru with regard to its plans for hybridization of other near-future models, such as the Ascent SUV, but the company declined to comment. Primary competition for the Crosstrek Hybrid may be the Toyota Prius Prime, which could share an approximate price window. Another several $1,000s beyond are the Honda Clarity and Mitsubishi Outlander PHEV, though of the above, only the Mitsubishi offers all-wheel drive, which is among the primary attractions of Subaru's products.
Speak to anyone involved in the business of producing electric cars and they will explain that one of the biggest hurdles to overcome is getting customers into the product. During a chance meeting at the Sears Geneva Motor Show, one high-ranking Nissan exec explained, "We've found that people's opinion of EVs changed rapidly after they've experienced one for a few days." If that's the case, Nissan has clearly been working hard to get bums on seats, as recent figures have shown that a new Nissan Leaf is sold every 12 minutes in Europe. The firm received over 20,000 orders in a single month earlier this year, making it the fastest-selling electric vehicle in Europe, neatly taking the baton from the previous generation model, which is officially the world's best-selling zero-emissions electric vehicle with some 300,000 customers handing over their cash since 2010. So why mess with a winning formula? Well, competition in the market is now heating up, with the likes of Tesla, Jaguar and even Porsche muscling in on the EV turf, while affordable models are also now offered by the likes of Hyundai and Kia. This has forced Nissan to improve a number of key areas in the latest model, including performance, battery range and interior technology, while keeping the cost to consumer down. In fact, the Japanese marque has managed to tick off all of the above while reducing the list price of the most basic trim grades by around £1,500 when the Treasury's ongoing EV incentive is thrown into the mix. An all-new e-powertrain is arguably the biggest talking point here, as the 40 kWh battery pack and 110 kW electric motor team up to deliver 150 horsepower and 320 Nm of instantaneous torque, as well as increased range. But range has always been a murky area when it comes to electric vehicles, as the outgoing lap-based NEDC test has traditionally overestimated how far one can travel on a single charge. To combat this, Nissan says that its latest Leaf is the first EV to undergo worldwide harmonized light vehicle testing procedure, WLTP, which tests using real-world scenarios, runs longer test cycles, introduces higher speeds and takes into account the impact additional equipment may have on range. That figure is pegged at 168 miles on the combined cycle, or up to 258 miles in city conditions, on a single charge. It's an impressive number for a vehicle that is priced to rival a raft of family SUVs, but owners should still expect that number to vary depending on numerous factors. During our time with the new Leaf, we could see the adverse effect air conditioning, infotainment usage and speedy driving was having on the remaining range displayed on screen, and decided that 140 to 150 miles on a single charge would be about right for someone driving normally. Charging is taken care of by two slots that reside underneath a small flap at the front of the car. These slots are designed to work with the CHAdeMO quick charging network, as well as a standard 3-pin socket you might have at home. The former is clearly the one to plan for, as the charging time with the 50 kilowatts outlet from low battery warning to 80% takes between 40 and 60 minutes. That's still a long time for a pit stop on an arduous motorway journey. Customers can also opt to have fast home charging setups installed at your house, typically by ChargeMaster, that top up the batteries in 7.5 hours from the 7 kilowatt systems. If you don't have this, then an outdoor plug socket will suffice. Charging in this manner takes a staggering 20+ hours and made it difficult to get a completely full charge from flat. But that's not necessarily a bad thing, as time with the Leaf highlighted just how short many journeys actually are, and so long as the batteries were kept topped up, it always offered plenty of range for any ad hoc mid-length journeys that appeared in the week. The aforementioned Nissan exec statement often replayed in mind when driving the latest Leaf because it is a joy to pilot around town and through busy city traffic. Granted, the driving position feels too upright, and a lack of adjustment through the steering column makes it tricky to get things just right, but the instant torque provided by the electric powertrain is addictive. Flick the Leaf out of its suggested eco mode, which caps throttle response for improved range, and the little family runaround absolutely flies out of the blocks. Official acceleration figures state the 0-62 mph sprint is dispatched in 7.9 seconds, but it feels quicker than that, especially from rest to 30 mph, which is the more appropriate benchmark for most local journeys. Nissan has also greatly improved refinement and has introduced more sound deadening materials to ensure the cabin remains peaceful, even at higher speeds. It makes motorway cruising more pleasant, as pesky road and wind noise, two factors that are often highlighted thanks to a lack of engine note, are subdued to a background hum. There's also a new e-pedal system that allows the driver to comfortably operate the Leaf using just the accelerator. It sounds fancy, but in essence it ramps up the regenerative braking to a point where it will bring the vehicle to a complete stop. Although slightly bizarre at first, it does reinforce the importance of leaving a sufficient gap with the car in front, as well as encouraging smoother throttle use, and improves the battery range thanks to it being constantly topped up by regenerative braking tech. Also, the benefit of having a floor stuffed with batteries is a low center of gravity and an even spread of mass that reduces body roll through corners. It's no Ferrari replacement, but it can be quite fun on a favored B-road route and leaves many confused faces in its wake at the traffic lights. Where the interior of a BMW i3 dazzles with its use of playful curves, cutting-edge eco-friendly materials and abundance of screens, the Nissan Leaf takes a slightly more conservative approach. The dash and instrument layout will feel familiar to anyone with a modern Nissan, with only the bizarre gear lever signaling that it boasts a forward-thinking powertrain. A central Nissan Connect EV 7-inch touchscreen takes care of most of the vehicle's features, including DAB radio, smartphone connectivity and the all-important navigation. Here, it has been overhauled to include charging stations, and routes can be planned based on the remaining range, with stopovers factored in for potential recharging. It's foolish to solely rely on this, as public charging points have an irritating habit of either being in use or not working when you really need them. Instead, I found myself obsessively checking the Zap Map app, which handily lists active charging stations, notifies if they are being used and allows users to post handy comments about any faults or restrictions. Technospec models, like the one driven here, are finished with leather front and rear heated seats, a 7-speaker Bose sound system and Nissan suite of ProPilot driver systems that include adaptive cruise control and emergency braking. Overall, it's a nice place to be, but it is easy to come across some cheaper plastics and materials if you look. The Nissan Leaf is a great car, and even with the likes of Jaguar and Tesla poised to release premium offerings into the wild, it remains a sensible and affordable approach to all-electric motoring. It costs very little to run, there have been very few reports of mechanical failures, there's nothing to pay in terms of tax, and residual values of previous generation Leafs have surpassed expectations. Plus, with an improved range of 150 to 160 miles a day, most people's daily commutes will easily be covered, and there's very little to give up in terms of practicality and comfort. But electric vehicle ownership is still hard. A 40 to 60 minute stop to charge on a longer weekend journey required a commitment that we weren't prepared to make. The charging network is still confusing and requires owners to sign up to multiple providers in order to travel big distances, while ignorant fossil fuel motorists love to park in EV-only bays at the most inconvenient times. Having to check an app for a live update before driving up to a charging point feels awkward, and there's generally a lot of confusion about general EV etiquette. For example, is it okay to leave the Leaf plugged into a charging point at one of Heathrow's short-stay car parks while you travel away for 2 days? Probably not, but needs must when there is a 100-mile journey to get home. These issues are not the fault of Nissan, but the wider network providers and even the government to a certain extent. No, Nissan has created a charming, practical and fun little car in the second-generation Leaf, and a vehicle that will most certainly help to bring more skeptics around to the idea of all-electric motoring. And with that will arrive a more pleasant zero-emissions motoring experience for everyone.